Alright, so lately what I've been experiencing over the last few years is a slow and steady decline of my interest in playing video games, computer games, and things of that sort. And I've noticed that like some of my friends kind of feel the same way. And initially I kind of just chalked it up to, oh, we're just getting older, we're aging out of that. But the more and more I think about it and the more I hear other people's opinions on the matter, I start to think, you know what? I don't think it is because of aging out. Like I think there's a sort of image that we've been sold that, you play video games when you're a kid and a teenager, but once you reach a certain age, you get a job and you forget about leisure and having fun. But this is probably not the case. And in fact, like, in recent years, I have had some sessions where I would play video games and still have a good time with it and still get immersed in the world that I was playing in or that I was building a character in or whatever. But the common factor shared between those instances where I did still enjoy playing video games was that it was usually either it was an older game or it was an indie game, or if it was a new game, which almost never happens, it was a new game that kind of kept sort of a retro feel or kept some kind of some kind of legitimate tie to previous versions or some earlier game or whatever, and still held true to that kind of, pre-2010s gameplay feel. And when I realized that I was mostly just playing indie games and single player games and old school games, it all became pretty clear to me. We're not just aging out of video games. If you're in your late 20s or even your mid 20s to your 30s, you might start to feel like gaming would naturally just no longer be part of your life. And there's nothing wrong with that if you do want to make more time for other things. I mean, I think that's perfectly valid. Like there's nothing wrong with quitting games because they're just kind of a leisure activity and they can absolutely be a complete waste of time. But getting back to my point, basically it's not usually, at least in most cases, unless you have some more important stuff going on in life, it's not because you're aging out. In my opinion, it's because the games just suck ass now. Everything is just turned into a gigantic cash grab by these game companies like Activision and like just the COD games. I haven't played a COD game since Modern Warfare 2 because it's all filled with DLCs and fucking loot crates and little things that are designed to get 14-year-olds to use their mom's credit card number to do something that's basically gambling. I mean, if you look at like the little microtransactions and loot crates that people buy nowadays, it's basically just borderline promoting gambling addictions to kids. It's kind of unethical if you think about it, and honestly, I have no interest in buying a game where you're gonna have to like keep paying little micro fees in order to like stay relevant or stay. Back in my day, we called those games pay to win, and everybody fucking hated them, and everybody would ridicule those games because if you can just pay to win, then it's not really skill based. You're not beating anyone. If you are winning, you are not beating anyone because you're better than them. You're beating them because you just simply paid more money than they did. But now that's not always the case. A lot of times it's not pay to win, but there's some DLC or like a battle pass that in order to, I don't know, in order to I don't really know how Fortnite works at all, to be honest with you, and I don't care that much either, but I know it's something along the lines of in order to participate in the latest things that are going on, you have to pay some kind of a seasonal pass. And it's just like, what, dude? These companies are like, you shouldn't feel bad for them. You shouldn't feel like they need more money, because trust me, they're getting plenty of money. Even if they all rolled it back to like a buy at one time old school payment model, like a lot of indie games where you just buy it once and then you have it, they would still be making a killing off their player base, and they would have more than enough money left over to maintain some servers. And then, if they really needed more money, they could just release, an expansion pack or some skins or something. A little bit of the skins. If it's just purely cosmetic, okay, fine. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think you should be able to grind for whatever you want in the game. But that's fine if you need to make a little bit extra money off of cosmetics, whatever. Like, that's not the end of the world. I'm not going to hold it against you if you have to do that. But here's my thing. Like, if we think about some of the old peer-to-peer games like Age of Empires and, Quake, Doom, like, I mean, even Halo was I don't know if you technically call it peer-to-peer. I haven't looked it up. But, like, you had to connect to one of the players who had the strongest internet because they would just be the host or whatever. And that had some vulnerabilities because people could IP grab you and DDoS it or whatever. But I mean, I don't know about you, but like in terms of first person shooters, doesn't really get any better than Halo 3. I mean, come on. But basically, those games were way better, and they didn't have any kind of weird little payment feature. They didn't have any kind of loot crates, battle passes, whatever. And guess what? Bungie made a shitload of money off of them. Bungie made a shitload of money off of Halo 3. They made a shitload of money off of Halo 1 and 2 as well. They, whoever made, I think it was like Ensemble Studios, made Age of Empires 2. They made a ton of money off that game. These companies, I would rather them just price the games competitively and have it be a buy it once model, and just don't introduce any kind of crazy microtransactions in there. It's, but honestly, that's probably not even the biggest problem. It's the fact that everything is trying to like incorporate all these little fan services. Like if you look at Fortnite, they have every week it's like a new pop culture reference that they have to import into the game. Every week it's like they have some new little trendy TikTok generation relevant crap that you probably have to pay for just to get involved with it or whatever. But it's probably some Diddy skin that you can buy on the marketplace or whatever. I don't know. It's just I don't know, it's just cooked. I haven't seen a lot of new games that weren't independently developed that were good lately. It's just, I mean, I could be wrong, but let me know in the description if you or in the comment section if you can think of any good new games. I mean, Baldur's Gate came out and everybody loved that, but that was based off of the classic RPG system. They just modernized it. Fallout 4, I mean, that's not like super new, but I consider it to be kind of a modern game, at least in how it's like it was one of the first like RPGs that I played that was like super modern but still had the DNA of a good classic RPG in terms of playability, challengingness, and like a good story and whatever. In the old days, you had, like, at least with RPGs, you had a lot more sandbox RPGs. And sandbox RPGs were really cool because like if you look at RuneScape or EVE Online, there's a lot of emergent stuff that just sort of came up out of the community, and it wouldn't exist if the community didn't kind of interact with the game in that very like human way. Like, these games have to leave some room for the human element to like kind of come in there and actually make it interesting. Like, I still believe that, like, RuneScape in itself is like the game itself is just but it's the community, and it's like how the people interact with the game that makes it such a fascinating little MMORPG, because it's a sandbox. Sandboxes definitely need to make a comeback. But I mean, I know not every game can be a sandbox, but adopting a more experimental indie game kind of mindset, I really think that's what makes games good. And these AAA game developers, they've just totally lost the plot. They don't have that anymore because they just want to keep spinning the same old content. They want to just drop a new COD next year, a new Call of Duty every year for the next 100 years. And it's never supposed to get old. But the thing is it is getting old, and them adding little, the only features they add are little cash grab features that nobody wanted in the first place. And so don't be surprised when it sucks and everybody just wants to play indie games, because indie games are the only ones that still have that experimental mindset that video games used to have back when the early games were being developed, like Quake. Nobody told anybody to make Quake. It's just a thing that happened because someone decided to make a sci-fi RPG shooter that had really cool movement mechanics. It was just a good idea. Sometimes you got to get experimental. You got to make a bunch of shitty games that are weird, niche, probably only appeal to a few people. I mean, but that's fine. It's niche stuff is better for a lot of reasons. I could probably make a whole video on why you really shouldn't try to appeal to the masses. You should just try to just make content for you, and the people who resonate with it are gonna resonate with it. But anyway, I've been rambling for too long at this point. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think do you think people are just aging out of gaming, or do you think that gaming is kind of been going downhill? At least mainstream gaming. I know indie games have, at least in my opinion, not lost any steam. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments.